Hello, everyone. Welcome to the StopStutter Webcast. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Whether you personally stutter or know someone who does, or are simply curious in learning more about speech and fluency, you have come to the right place. Today's session is called Rewiring the Brain for Fluency, a neuroscientist's perspective. And our goal is not only to address stuttering, but to help you truly understand it and most importantly, realize the lasting fluency is achievable. I am the living proof of that. My name is Pratusha Ravi, a senior consultant at Ernst Young, Düsseldorf, Germany, and I also serve as the director of stuttering therapy at StopStutter Inc. I lived with stuttering for over 20 years, and I met Coach Lee in 2017, and he helped me achieve fluency within just 2 months. Since then, I've supported over 40 plus individuals achieve fluency. And let me introduce to the other keynote speakers, Bhav Jain. So Bhav is an MD, MBA candidate at Stanford University. Prior to this, he graduated from MIT with degrees in neuroscience and computer science. Additionally, he is a person who stopped stuttering using the neuroscience method. In the future, he hopes to expand access to high-quality medical care worldwide. Up next, we have Danny Miguel. Danny is a certified stuttering specialist at StopStutter Inc., where he also serves as director of social media. What started as a profession has become his mission. He lived with stuttering for 15 years until discovering Lee Lovett's method in 2022, achieving fluency within just a few months. Since then, he has reached over 10,000 people online, helping others believe that change is possible. And we have Noah Sam. Noah is a singer-songwriter who has appeared in the show Voice Germany. He is also a social worker and serves as the director of group practice at StopStutter. After living with a severe stutter for over 20 years and trying numerous therapies, he overcame it in 2025 through the StopStutter program. Today, he serves as a certified stuttering specialist, leading multiple group practice sessions each week. Alongside his work in stuttering therapy, Noah continues to perform live and create original music. Now, I would like to introduce the person behind this entire approach, the founder of Neuroscience Method to Stop Stuttering, who is none other than Lee G. Lovett. Lee himself struggled with severe stuttering for many years, from his teenage years until around the age of 40. And like many people, he tried multiple approaches, but nothing gave him lasting results. But instead of accepting stuttering as a lifelong limitation, he took a different path. He began studying stuttering patterns, habits, and the way the brain works, and eventually developed what we now call the neuroscience method to stop stuttering. What's truly remarkable is that Lee has provided stuttering speech therapy for over 10,000 hours, completely free of charge, dedicating his life to helping others overcome stuttering. He strongly believes that old habits die when not used, and repetition is the key to form new habits. The thoughts we repeat the most becomes our dominant thoughts, and our dominant thoughts ultimately shape our reality and who we become. In simple terms, what we repeatedly think, feel, and do becomes our identity. And that's exactly the foundation of this method, where we replace the habit of stuttering with the habit of fluency through consistent and intentional repetition. Coach Lee is the author of How to Stop Stuttering and Love Speaking book, along with several other books focused on fluency and speech anxiety. So everything you're going to hear today is built on real experience, real transformation, and a very deep understanding of human mind. Before we begin, Let me quickly tell you what this webcast is all about. Today, we are going to understand what stuttering really is, look at the science behind it, challenge some common beliefs around stuttering, and most importantly, introduce a neuroscience-based approach that has helped hundreds of people stop stuttering. So this is going to be a mix of science, real stories, and practical insights. All right, now I'll hand it over to Bhav to walk us through the topic understanding stuttering. Bhav, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you. Let's begin with one simple observation that almost everyone who stutters must have by now noticed. If if all this was simply an issue with the speech muscles, the tongue, or the vocal cords, it would happen the same way every single time. But that's not what we see. Many people who stutter can sing fluently. They can speak fluently when they are on their own. They may be perfectly fluent with their own close friends, yet block while introducing themselves in a meeting. The same mouth, the same vocal cords, the same brain. Only the situation has changed. And that tells us something extremely important. Stuttering isn't simply a mechanical problem. In fact, it's a brain state. Certain situations activate a learned neural pattern that makes fluent speech much harder to access. The encouraging part is that if a pattern can be learned, it also can be unlearned. And that's exactly what we'll be speaking about here. Next slide. So, what exactly is happening just before a block? Many fluent speakers think almost exclusively about what they want to say. People who stutter often have a second conversation happening inside their minds. They are planning several words ahead, scanning for feared sounds, thinking about how they will say something instead of what they're overall trying to communicate. Sometimes they substitute an entirely different word. Sometimes they're watching the listener's reaction instead of sharing their own ideas. And almost everyone who stutters has experienced this. Someone finishes the word for you, and suddenly you are able to say exactly that word. The word wasn't impossible. The anticipation surrounding the word was. And after years of repeating this process over and over again, the brain begins predicting difficulty before speech even starts. So the question becomes, what are the brain circuits that are involved that are leading to this disfluent speaking process? So this diagram shows our current neuroscience model of the stuttering cycle. Everything begins with the amygdala. The amygdala is the brain's threat detector. After years of having difficult speaking experiences, it begins predicting that certain speaking situations or even certain words are dangerous. That threat signal spreads into the speech motor system. The motor cortex, which then plans and executes speech movements, becomes less automatic and more tense over time. Then we arrive at the basal ganglia. The basal ganglia helps us initiate and sequence complex motor movements, including speech. Many researchers believe that abnormalities in this timing system play an important role in developmental and psychogenic stuttering. When speech initiation becomes unstable, the result may be repetitions, prolongations, or complete blocks. Finally, the hippocampus stores these speaking experiences. It remembers and says, hey, that word was difficult. That meeting was embarrassing. I usually stutter introducing myself. These memories then strengthen anticipation for the next conversation and the next meeting. And that's exactly how the cycle perpetuates itself. Fear creates tension. Tension disrupts motor timing. That disruption then leads to a speech block. That block reinforces the existing memory, and the cycle repeats. So now the question becomes, if these are the circuits maintaining stuttering, how do we retrain them? So this is known as the stuttering iceberg. And I want to walk you through each of the separate parts here. There is a difference between what the listener sees, what we mentally inside carry, and what this means for the method. When someone stutters, what you notice from the outside is the overt speech block, the repetition, the held breath before a word. That is the part of stuttering that has a name, and that is the part that most existing modern approaches try to fix. But the block is not where the stuttering actually lives. It is simply where the stuttering surfaces. Underneath, the person is carrying something that most listeners will never see. Shame about a sound that was supposed to come out easily. Fear of the next word, the next meeting, the next introduction. Avoidance, trading the word you meant for the word you are able to say. Isolation, and over time, a sense that this is who you are. Essentially, what we mean by this iceberg is that most stuttering never reaches the listener. It stays inside the person. This is why the traditional approach hits a ceiling. If you only work on what shows, you're working on just 10% of the overall problem. The other 90%, the part the person carries, gets untouched. Address only what's visible, but the weight stays. That is the problem that the neuroscience method was meant to solve. But before we get to the how, there is a prior question worth asking. Can that weight actually be moved? For most of modern history, the answer was no. But recently, that has changed.
All right. Now I think we'll pass the mic to Danny to explain the science is evolving part.
Absolutely. Thank you, Prathusha. Now, for most of modern history, the brain was considered permanent. And because the brain was considered permanent, stuttering was treated as permanent too. You manage it, you accept it, you do not change it. That assumption has been overturned. The last 30 years of neuroscience have shown the brain rewires itself across the entire lifespan. This is called neuroplasticity. Two findings will give you a feel for the scale of this. London taxi drivers who memorize 25,000 streets before they are licensed grow a larger hippocampus than the rest of the population. Professional musicians develop measurably larger motor and auditory regions from years of practice. The brain physically rebuilds itself around what you repeatedly do. Essentially, repetition builds the brain, which means a stuttering pattern repeated thousands of times is not a life sentence. It is a structure, and structures can be rebuilt. Here is something subtle. Watch what a fluent speaker is paying attention to while they talk. They are not thinking about their words. They are thinking about the thing they want to get across. The word is the vehicle. The point is the meaning. Now watch what a person who stutters says, pays attention to. The word, the next word, the one after that. The one they know is coming that they cannot say. The whole mental field is words. So the question is not, how do you push through the block? It is, where is your attention? If your attention is on the word, you are standing inside the pattern. If your attention is on the expression, the word has to follow the thought instead of fighting it. Essentially, we do not teach you a better way to manage the block. We teach you a different place to stand when you speak, which leads me to the next slide. It's all about freedom. Accepting that you stutter is healthy. There's no shame in it. But almost everyone who joins our program wants more than acceptance. They want freedom. Freedom to introduce yourself without your heart rate spiking. Freedom to order what you actually want at a restaurant, not what you can pronounce. Freedom to raise your hand in a meeting because you have a good idea, not sit there calculating whatever you can get through the sentence. That is not rejecting who you are. That is wanting more from your life. And most people, I would argue the vast majority, want exactly that. Accept yourself, absolutely, but stay curious about what is possible. Acceptance without curiosity is just standing still. What am I going to show you next is how we get there. And for that, I'll pass it back to Pratisha.
Thank you so much, Danny. Next, let's talk about the neuroscience method. So the neuroscience method to stop stuttering is a holistic approach, meaning we are not just addressing the visible symptom of stuttering, but the entire system behind it, including the causes, behaviors, and life attitudes. From the lens of neuroscience, stuttering is a habit that develops over time. So, for example, when a child is reprimanded by adults for a slightest stumble or a repetition, the child feels that there is something really wrong with the way they speak. And this is where a few harmless repetitions gradually snowball into a negative speaking pattern reinforced by fear, shame, over and over again. So, what do we do differently? We are not going to treat anxiety directly. Instead, we are going to address the stuttering problem itself head on. This is where we differ from other speech programs. I have personally experienced speech therapy where I was asked to do breathing exercise and I was told to be calm before speaking. And we all know that we can be fluent when we are calm. But how can one be calm in every situation? And that's $1 million question. So here is where we help you to use the speech tools to become fluent despite anxiety. Once you hear fluency from your own lips, guess what happens? The fear and pressure fade away because they are no longer relevant. So whenever there's an urge to stutter, we teach you not to force the word out because forcing the word is like ripping off a band-aid from the wound and not letting it heal, which means by forcing words, we reinforce stuttering again and again. However, here at StopStutter Inc., we interrupt that pattern. When we have the urge to stutter, we refuse to force the words. Instead, we stop talking, take 2 counts, and then use a crutch on the feared word. Every time we do this, we are replacing the old stuttering habit with the new fluency habit. And over time, the brain begins to rewire itself. As a result, the stuttering dies because of disuse. And this concept is called neuroplasticity. Next slide, please. So now let's talk about the goals of neuroscience method. For many traditional speech therapies, the primary goal is often on getting a person to be fluent. You might have seen people getting fluent in just 3 days or 6 days, like a crash course. And you can see people actually getting fluent, which is wonderful. But you can also see that this fluency is short-lived, which means it's not sustainable, right? But at StopStutter Inc., fluency is not the end goal. Fluency is just the first milestone. The first goal is simple but powerful, which is to stop stuttering. And we achieve this using a three-pronged approach called 1-2-3 punch, which is reading aloud, mind training, and using speech tools in real-life situation. And when these three work together, real change begins. The second goal is to eliminate residual fears. Even after fluency begins, fear can still exist, okay? So instead of overwhelming yourself, we teach you to talk less under pressure, using emergency speech plans, taking control of the situations, and gradually expanding your comfort zone. And the third goal is to learn to love to speak in all situations. And this doesn't happen overnight, okay? It happens by celebrating small victories. Every fluent moment matters. Every success builds confidence. And over time, speaking becomes something you really enjoy and not something that you're afraid of. The fourth goal is to adopt mind training as daily regime because stuttering is not just a speech issue, it's connected to thoughts, emotions, and mindset. So we use mind training not just for speech, but to improve other areas of life, such as anxiety, confidence, self-image, you name it. And the fifth goal is community. You don't have to do this alone, okay? You become a part of Stop Stutter community or former stutterers. We are like family, people who have been through the same journey and who support each other, practice together, and grow together. And then comes a very powerful shift where we aim to convert stuttering and speech anxiety into blessing. Because once you go through this journey, you don't just become fluent, you become stronger, more self aware, and more confident than before. And finally, here comes the bigger vision, which is to end stuttering worldwide. Because when people understand that change is possible and when they are given the right tools, fluency is no longer a dream, it becomes the reality. People who have become fluent through our program, they don't want to leave. Instead, they choose to give it back to the community, and that's how our community has become the golden nugget of the program. And next slide, please. And there are two requirements to stop stuttering. First, we must hear fluency, and second, we must not hear disfluency. So the question is, how do we do that? And for that, I will now call upon Bao to walk us through the 1-2-3 punch.
So the answer is that we don't just train one part of the brain. Instead, we train three complementary systems. The first is reading aloud. The second is mind training. The third is speech crutches and speech plans. Each one addresses a different aspect of the stuttering cycle. Reading gives the brain thousands of fluent repetitions over and over. Mind training changes how the brain predicts speaking situations. And crutches actually provide a new motor program during real conversations. Together, they reinforce one another. Instead of strengthening the old stuttering pattern, they gradually strengthen a new fluent one. So let's look at each of these individually. We'll start with reading aloud. At first glance, reading aloud almost seems too simple, but from a neuroscience perspective, it's incredibly powerful. When you're reading, the language is already planned. You aren't searching for your words. That allows your brain to focus entirely on producing smooth, fluent speech. Every fluent sentence just becomes another successful repetition. Those repetitions are stored by the brain as successful speaking experiences. You're gradually replacing years of disfluency with thousands of fluent motor experiences. Just like how practicing free how practicing free throws builds a basketball player's shooting mechanics in the same way reading helps us build the automatic motor patterns of fluent speech. But that's exactly why consistency matters. You're not just practicing speech, you're reshaping the brain through repetition. Next slide, please. So the second pillar targets a completely different system. Years of stuttering don't just affect speech. They teach the brain that speaking is a physically dangerous activity. Eventually, your brain begins predicting failure before you've even opened your mouth. Mind training is designed to change that prediction through visualization, positive affirmations, mental rehearsal, and repeatedly imagining successful speaking experiences. You're teaching the brain a new expectation. Instead of predicting failure, it gradually begins predicting success. And as those expectations change, the emotional response changes as well. The threat system becomes quieter, the body becomes calmer, and speech becomes easier to initiate. The final pillar focuses on what happens during actual conversations. Speech crutches are not meant to be permanent. They are just temporary training tools. Whether it's extreme pronunciation, using a soft voice, or linking, or any other speech tool, the goal is always the same. Interrupt the old speech pattern before it develops into a block. Instead of entering speech through the familiar pathway associated with anticipation and tension, you're teaching the brain a completely new way to initiate speech. Speech plans extend this idea even further. Before challenging situations, you decide exactly how you're going to approach that whole conversation. Preparation replaces reaction, and over time, those deliberate motor patterns become automatic. Eventually, fluent initiation becomes the brain's default. So now we've seen these three pillars individually. Let's see how each one maps onto the actual brain. So as I mentioned, each of our three pillars trains a different part of the speech and stuttering circuit. Speech crutches primarily retrain the motor cortex and basal ganglia. They provide a new motor program that bypasses the old speech pattern and through thousands of these repetitions strengthen fluent speech initiation. Mind training primarily targets the amygdala. It teaches the brain that speaking is no longer a threat, reducing anticipatory fear before speech even begins. And reading aloud, as mentioned, reinforces fluent speech through the motor cortex while building new successful speaking memories in the hippocampus. These positive speaking memories gradually replace years of negative associations. What's powerful is that these are not on their own just isolated interventions. They actually help and reinforce each other. The motor system becomes more efficient. And then on top of that, the threat system becomes much quieter. The memory system begins expecting success instead of failure. Over time, the old stuttering loop weakens, while a new fluent circuit becomes the brain's default. And that is neuroplasticity in action. The brain changes based on repeated memories and experiences. That's why this method isn't simply about trying to learn new speech techniques. It's about systematically retraining the neural circuits that produce fluent speech. Now I'll hand it back over to Prathusha.
Thank you so much, Bhav. So let's see what is this ultimate goal to stop stuttering. First, we do not force words because forcing only strengthens the old stuttering habit. Second, we do not let a bad incident to define our speech. So what is a bad incident? A bad incident is where a PWS forces the word out to an extent where it brings humiliation and shame to the PWS. And anything less than that is a pass. For example, I can repeat a word or stumble on a word, and I consider this as a pass because even a normal speaker goes through these phases, right? But I cannot go like I. That's something that I'm not supposed to do because that is forcing words. And third, we become what we call a speech cop, meaning when there is an urge to stutter, we do not force the word. Instead, we stop talking, take 2 counts, and start again with a speech tool or a sound just by saying, when you make that sound, you essentially break the block. And the fourth one is at the same time, we consistently apply 1, 2, 3 punch, which is reading aloud, mind training, and using the speech crutches, because consistency is what drives real change. Fifth, we also stop harsh grading ourselves. Instead of being overly critical about small mistakes, we focus on progress. And lastly, and most importantly, we should celebrate small fluency victories because recognizing and reinforcing those fluency moments are what helps build lasting fluency. When all these come together, they create the foundation needed to truly stop stuttering. All right, I'll now pass the mic over to Noah to start us off with the next topic, which is first base to stop stuttering.
Thank you, Pratyusha. To achieve first base, we must stop stuttering. This is done by consistent use of the 1, 2, 3 punch, reading aloud, mind training, and using speech tools, which gradually reduces humiliating bad incidences. Every time you use a speech tool instead of forcing through a block, you're replacing the old stuttering habit with a new fluency response. With enough repetition, as we have heard, the brain rewires itself, and fluent speech becomes more natural and automatic. Yet, fear still remains, which brings us to the second base. Defeating fear. The first thing to understand here is that fear is not stuttering. A person can be fluent and still feel fear. That's exactly why it's so crucial to stay on the program, remain consistent with the daily routine, and actively engage the StopStutter community. We reduce fear by gradually expanding our comfort zones, one step at a time, using what we call the fluency ladder. At the bottom are your safest situations, talking to family and friends. As you move up, you slowly enter more and more challenging situations, such as, for example, social gatherings, speaking to strangers, phone calls, and eventually high-pressure environments like interviews or public speaking. The key here is not to jump levels, but to climb the ladder rung by rung, building confidence at each and every stage. Which then brings us to third base, because when we have reached the top of our fluency ladder, we're moving on to learning to love to speak. At this stage, the goal is not just fluency or even overcoming fear, but to truly feel comfortable and confident in all speaking situations. When you repeatedly speak using your speech tools, even while feeling fear or anxiety, your brain begins to realize that you can still be fluent under pressure. Over time, you will notice that situations that once felt threatening will start to feel safe. As your confidence grows, fear gradually gives way to comfort and eventually even enjoyment. I'll now pass on the mic back to Pratyusha.
Thank you so much, Noah. So let's see, why should you choose us? The biggest difference is that this program is run by people who have actually lived through stuttering and successfully overcome it. So everything we teach is practical, tested, and experience-driven. We don't stop at just helping you become fluent. We guide you beyond fluency to eliminate fear, build confidence, and ultimately help you enjoy speaking in all situations. We have hundreds of real success stories that prove that this transformation is possible. And we also make this approach unique. And what makes it actually unique is the structured journey from breaking the stuttering cycle to climbing the fluency ladder and to become the best version of yourself. And most importantly, you are not alone in this process. You become a part of strong, supportive, solution-driven community where you learn alongside people who are actively improving and succeeding. This combination of proven method, real-life experience, structured growth, and continuous support is what makes our approach not just effective, but life-changing. Next slide, please. And now let's talk about preventing relapses. Many traditional stuttering therapies out there, as far as I know at least, do not really address relapses, but we do. And that is what makes our program truly unique. You may have seen programs that promise fluency in just few days, and while people may experience short-term results, most of them eventually relapse because the foundation for long-term change is missing. However, our neuroscience method is sustainable. We focus on preventing relapses by staying on the program until full fluency is achieved across all situations. We consistently apply 1, 2, 3 punch and gradually expand our comfort zone using the fluency ladder. We also emphasize setting clear milestones because progress needs to be structured and measurable. As part of our program, we use something called OASIS assessment, which stands for an overall assessment of speakers' experience of stuttering. It is a scientifically designed tool, and it's a fluency measurable tool that helps us understand not just how a person speaks, but how stuttering impacts the quality of their life, including their thoughts, emotions, daily communication. We typically administer this assessment at the beginning of the program to establish a baseline. And we also administer a follow-up assessment after the PWS has taken the private stuttering therapy to measure their progress. Based on this progress, we are able to set goals for the PWS and guide them in the areas where they truly need support. Next slide, please. And now let's talk about the community engagement. We truly believe that fluency is not the end goal, right? It's a lifelong journey of practice, growth, and self-development. And you don't have to do this alone. One of the most powerful aspects of our program is the support system we provide. Through StopStutter community, we have buddy calls where a person can call another person to practice the speech tools. And we also have group practice sessions where a group of people come together in Zoom calls to practice speech crutches or tools. And we also have speech club meetings that happens every Saturday. And we also have Focus on Fluency Challenge. So you're basically constantly supported and guided. And the goal is to create lasting change through strong solution-driven community, because when you have the right support around you, you're never alone in your journey. Next slide, please. And now let's talk about the end game, which is stuttering is a blessing in life. This program is not just about helping you become fluent. It goes far beyond that. It helps you overcome fear, build confidence, and ultimately reach a point where you truly love speaking in all situations. And even beyond that, it gives you the opportunity to give back How beautiful is that? To give back, to support, to guide, and to motivate others who are on the same journey as you. And this is when a powerful shift happens. You begin to see what once felt like a limitation was actually shaping you into a stronger, more self aware person. And that's when you realize that stuttering was not something to overcome, but something that ultimately became a blessing in your life, because it led you to growth, resilience, and a better version of yourself. Thank you. Now I'll pass the mic back to Noah to walk us through the StopStutter app.
Thank you, Pratyusha. I'm gonna walk you through the mobile app, a portal containing the interactive modules that guide people who stutter from the early stages of the program to fluent speech. We will begin with daily practice, one of the most important sections of the app and one you should use every day. As you've learned, stuttering is a combination of speech anxiety and a learned habit. Daily practice helps you reduce anxiety while replacing that habit with fluent speech. At the top of the page is your tracker, where you can monitor your fluent days and any bad incidents. Speech that would be noticeably difficult for a stranger to understand. Next, we come to these speech tools. Next slide, please. These techniques help you say any word, anywhere, anytime, without struggling. They're divided into crutches and speech plans. Crutches are designed for individual words, such as your name, age, or address. Speech plans are more used for sentences and conversations. As you master your speech plan, you will rarely need crutches. Each tool includes explanations and examples. The more you practice, the more your brain becomes accustomed to hearing fluent speech, allowing old speech habits to fade and new fluent habits to develop. Which brings us to our next section, reading aloud. Your goal is to read aloud for at least 1 hour every day, speaking slowly, clearly, and with strong pronunciation. You can practice with selected materials, record yourself directly on the app, and compare your reading with a model. This helps retrain your brain to expect fluent speech, making everyday conversations feel easier and more natural. Combined with the speech tools, reading aloud builds the confidence to speak freely in more situations. Finally, we address speech anxiety, the fears, insecurities, and negative thoughts that often accompany stuttering. This is where our next part becomes essential, mind training. Repeated thoughts create new neural pathways. By practicing positive affirmations focused on fluency and confidence, you can reshape your thinking and strengthen your subconscious belief in fluent speech. Record your affirmations or repeat them aloud, especially in the morning and before sleep when your mind is most receptive. Guided relaxation or hypnosis can further reinforce these positive changes and help accelerate your progress. I'll now pass it over to Danny to introduce the rest of the resources.
All right, thank you, Noah. And now we will look at our private stuttering therapy. Here you can work one-on-one with certified stuttering specialists, professionals who have personally overcome stuttering and understand the journey firsthand. They'll assess your speech, create a personalized plan, teach you how to use the speech tools effectively, and guide you step by step toward fluent, confident communication. Therapy is available in a variety of packages, and when combined with daily practice, it provides the fastest path to lasting progress. Now we will look at our speech club meetings. One of the greatest strengths of this program is its supportive community. Weekly meetings allow you to learn from guest speakers, many of whom have overcome stuttering. Ask questions, share experiences, or simply listen. Every meeting is designed to provide encouragement, practical insight, and motivation. Recordings of past meetings are always available as well. Next, we'll look at our group practice sessions. Group practice sessions give you the opportunity to use your skills in real conversations while receiving guidance and feedback. Beginner, intermediate, and advanced sessions help you build confidence at your own pace while connecting with others on the same journey. Now we'll go to our massive fluency video library. Explore thousands of videos, including therapy sessions, speech tips, and a bunch of stop stuttering stories. It's like having an on-demand learning library you can access at any time. Now to our audio and ebooks. Expand your learning with audiobooks, ebooks, short courses, and collections of success stories. Many resources are available in audio format, making it easy to learn wherever you are. Now we'll go to our masterclass series. The masterclasses include 4 modules: an overview of the method, speech tools and techniques, training to overcome speech anxiety, and guidance for parents of children who stutter. Each module includes lessons and quizzes to reinforce your learning. And now we'll look at our ex-stutterer stories. Read and watch hundreds of real success stories from people who have overcome stuttering. Their journeys provide proof that lasting fluency is possible with consistent practice. And finally, to our last resource, our podcasts and webcasts. You'll also have instant access to our podcasts and webcasts featuring inspiring conversations where former stutterers who achieve fluency use the neuroscience method, along with our complete archive of expert training sessions and practical strategies. By consistently using the speech tools, reading aloud, mind training, therapy sessions, and the support of this wonderful community, you can reduce speech anxiety, overcome stuttering, and build lasting fluency. And now I will turn it over to Ron for our proof of concept.
Yes. Hi, my name's Ron, and my first memory of humiliating stuttering was in the first grade. Going around the classroom, we took turns reading aloud. Reading aloud in front of others was pure agony for me. I'd block and struggle like that, and even worse, to try to get those words out. I remember lying on my bed, crying to my mother and asking her, why is this happening to me? It seems so unfair when no one else seemed to have my problem. Over my lifetime, I tried many therapies to try to overcome it. They either didn't work or didn't last. Stuttering was a thorn in my side for over 60 years. Then about 9 months ago, I heard about this program. It was created and led by people who actually overcame stuttering themselves. The message was simple, but really powerful, that stuttering is a habit, and any habit can be replaced. Well, that gave me hope, but I still had doubts. I thought, could this really work for me now at my age? But then I thought, wouldn't it be amazing to finally live without stuttering? So I jumped in with both feet and worked hard. I stopped stuttering within a few weeks, and I now comfortably talk to anyone or any group in any situation without stuttering or fear of stuttering. It's so liberating. While I wish I found this program decades ago, I'm deeply grateful to have it now. Your age does not matter. If you really want to free yourself from the grip of stuttering, check out this program. It will change your life if you're willing to put in the work.
Great job, Ron. Thank you so much. And actually, the people who presented today, including all keynote speakers, each and everyone has stuttered in the past and has successfully overcome using the new neuroscience method to stop stuttering. And we all really want to thank Coach Lee for creating this beautiful system that actually works. So I'll now open the floor for questions. So if you have any questions related to stuttering, fluency, or in general about the program, please feel free to raise your hands and we will call on you.
I would just like to say, if anyone here, is suffering with stuttering now, as Ron says, if you may be thinking you're too old to stop stuttering, I stuttered as well severely for about 43, 44 years. I joined the program end of May, start of June last year. I never believed I would stop stuttering, no way. And after about 3 months, I have to say now, of tough work in the way, that my brain kept telling me, no, you have to stutter, you have to stutter. And after 3 months of doing my 1, 2, 3 punch every day, I really tried so hard. After about 12 weeks, I had my first day where I did not stutter once all day. And I was like, is this actually happening? And then slowly I just built up and up. But as you've heard a few times here, the community here, really, it's so important. I was going to give up about midway through those 3 months. I had a humiliating incident when I tried to check in at a hotel. Could not say my name after about 5 or 6 attempts. The girl had to give me a pen and paper, and I said, this is not working. And then, I contacted a few people in the WhatsApp group. They're just amazing. Everyone there, everyone did stutter before, and everyone knows exactly what you're going through. So they pulled me back in, said, come on, Tara, you can do it. And I did it. So I will never leave this community whatsoever. The friends I've made around the world, I still do practice sessions every week. It's just, honestly, it's opened up a new world. I cannot thank everyone enough, and I as well, because I know how hard stuttering can be. I as well will continue and try to help as many people as I can. And also, what I don't think has been mentioned here, the app does do a free trial for a week. So what does anyone have to lose here at all? Come, give it a go for a week, see how you feel about it all. But everyone here it's just because they all stuttered before, and we all know how hard it is. So I just want to say thank you to everyone, and come join us and see how things go. But actually it is the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. So that's all, and thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much, Tara. That your transformation is truly amazing, because I know how you spoke a few years back, and seeing you speak like a completely fluent speaker, right? That's transformation is amazing.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Great.
you, Patricia.
Thank you so much, Tara. All right. Do we have any more questions? If not, yes, Paul, go on.
I have ADHD, and this program has helped me with my doing my stammer and my ADHD is helping, because I had a problem concentrating just watching TV. I couldn't concentrate more than an hour or so. So that's helped me a long way. And Noah and Tyra is helping me a lot as well in this last week or so as well. And also they are helping me. So yes, it's improved, because I've only been on a program for 3 weeks or so, just over. So it kind of, I started on the 8th of June and my stutter stopped on the 13th of June. So that's the last day I had a bad incident. So I think it's worked for me quite a lot, and I will be passing it on to everyone I speak to as well. I have done on Facebook and things like that. And when I go to the conference in the UK in August, that's end of August-ish, I think it's 20th, I can't remember, for 4 days, there's loads of people there, and I'll be passing that on to them as well. Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Great job, Paul. I think in just 3 weeks, if you can show this much progress, then just imagine if you stay in the program
Yeah,
for
that's what I
over a
mean.
year or so.
When
Yeah.
I get to that conference in August, I should be really good. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm
Yeah.
hoping for, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm aiming for. And everyone at church says how much improvement I've made, because I did when I got baptized in at Easter Sunday, I did a speech then, and I stammered quite a lot. Then I've recently done a speech last week for my testimony, and I didn't stammer at all on that one. So it has made a lot of difference to my life as well. So because last Wednesday I went to a men's meeting, but I wanted to go there for about 6 months or so because my stomach held me back. And I went there and there was about 12 people there as well. And then I didn't stammer at all there as well. So yeah, that's about it, I think. Okay.
Yeah. Great job. Great job, Paul. I think it's all about, making a choice, right? When you
Yeah.
feel the urge to stutter, you have a choice whether to force the word or to stop talking and then to use a crutch. I
This
think
is what I
I
don't
think
understand. Yeah, sorry. This is what I don't understand on some people don't want to change at all. They just prefer it stutter. Some people said to me in the past, if I didn't stutter, it would change my personality, but I don't think it does. You know what I mean? I think if you can make life easier for yourself, it's a lot easier for everything. You know what I mean? Because when I was 18, 20s, it was that I couldn't even use the telephone and things like that, and just phoning up for a ticket and people put the phone down, stuff like that. I had, and lots of stuff like that and things like that. And now that will never happen. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Fantastic, Paul. Really proud of how far you've come. And yeah, great job. And yeah, do we have any more questions, or I can just pass the mic to Coach Lee for some insights?
I can just also
Yeah.
add a bit, I think I think everything that we just now heard from Paul, it makes exact sense, and it really maps nicely on what our understanding of the overall neuroscience behind all of this is, right? Like he was even saying how many of the methods and the skills that he's learned have helped him even with his ADHD. And I think what we are seeing, at least in the world of neuroscience, is that so much of this is just about what is our conscious attention on, right? If we are having issues where we are being distracted by other impulsive thoughts, whether it's in OCD or in ADHD, right? Like much of the actual treatment with that also may just lie in doing our best to always shift our attention elsewhere. And I would argue that many speech impediments are the exact same thing. It is a very sort of well ingrained, deeply learned habit, often over several years, if not several decades, of always having our attention, always having our focus on the wrong things, on things like what happens if I'm not able to say the word? What happens if I try and speak and I just end up humiliating or embarrassing myself? I think that is at the root of many sort of modern neuroscience issues. And so it's actually really interesting and I think very affirming to hear that this is not only helping Paul with his overt speech, but also with his other issues as well. And my hope is that as we learn more and more about why exactly does this neuroscience method work so well, to specifically stop stuttering, that it will also then help us solve a whole host of other mental health and neuroscientifically based issues. So I just wanted to add that in here as well, and I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much, Bob. And I think I should mention about the fluency ladder, right? So once you become a person who stops stuttering, which is, but if you cross 30 days without a humiliating bad incident, you become a person who stops stuttering. So what does it even mean, right? So it means that you know the tools, and in case if there is a relapse, you know how to get back onto the fluency wagon because you've learned the tools, right? And unlike other programs, we do not, after you become a PWSs, we do not, make you give a speech in front of, 100 people. We don't do that. That's why we have different stages. We have a fluency ladder. First, we have to identify your stutter-free zones. So first, you have to start using your speech tools in your stutter-free zones, and then kind of, try and master it. And once you feel comfortable, with just one step at a time, you slowly expand your comfort zone, and until then, avoiding the fearful, the topmost step in your fluency ladder is suggested. So you don't have to, immediately give a Toastmaster speech after you become PWSs, but we just take one step at a time, building confidence slowly, stably. And once you're actually, ready, you won't be forced into a high pressure situation. Instead, something inside you will change, and you yourself will think, I think I can do this, and I'm going to do this. So that's how you will, this internal drive will be there to actually go and give a Toastmasters speech. And that's how the change happens. And the essential reason for that would be the mind training. We train our mind to think positively about the speech, and not only thoughts. I think thoughts get stronger when backed by action, and that action is nothing but you use the speech tools every single day to prove yourself wrong, and that is proving that you can be fluent in spite of having fear, in spite of having a block in your mind, and still not letting the block translate into a stutter. So that's the entire, system of reading aloud, mind training, and using speech tools. And all the three things works together. All right, great. So is there any other question, or I can pass the mic to our coach, Lee?
Good morning, good afternoon. Everyone here has made my hour, made my day, made my week, my month, my life because you've all shown your progress with your speech, and many of you, like Prathusha and Bhav and others who participate in Noah in the presentations today, you've stuck around and you're trying to really help people. And that's what it's all about. That's my only goal and my only interest. Um, I'm not a saint. It's the way I feel. Um, as to everyone who's spoken here today, needless to say, I agree with what you said. But please remember the simplest solution is very simple. Never force a word. Two, when you want to talk, begin with a sound if you need to, like ah or mm. It can be high or low, loud or soft, but begin with a sound and jam that sound, connect that sound into the first word and hold that tone through all your words as I am doing now. Keep your speech short, lengthen your stops, and above all, be animated, be convincing, be compelling, be interesting, be fun, come out of your shell. That's what it's all about. I should note that Bob, who spoke during our presentation at the end as well, you should know his credentials. He has a neuroscience degree from MIT. He's a medical student at Stanford. I coached him myself. I'm sure some others here may have too. But Bob doesn't have a stuttering problem anymore, and he never will again. Consistency drives change, one of you said, and that's true. It creates a new habit. You can create any habit you want, good or bad, positive or negative. It's your choice. It's your life. You choose. Create a new habit. In this program, we're here to create fluency. We're here to create self-confidence. None of us is perfect. None of us will ever get everything right. That's not going to happen. But when we do our best, we're going to achieve our reasonable goals in most cases. And that's all you need in this life to have a good life. And always remember, your life isn't out there. Your life is in here. Your life is how you choose to see it. Everybody here chooses to see their life as fluent. You'll never have a relapse if you refuse to force a word. What'll you do? You'll make a sound. Or You can always do that. Everyone here on their worst stuttering day could go or Everyone here who can do that can speak. Because all you have to do is hold that sound, or through what you want to say. Keep it short. As you prove to yourself, I can say a few words at a time without a problem. And you really believe that you can do that anywhere, anytime, which you can do. The fear will die. Now, if you've been stuttering 40 years, the fear won't die overnight. However long and how severely you've been stuttering will determine when the fear will die. But it will die. You feed the habit, good or bad, or it goes away. Don't feed the habit. I want to read a poem, very, very short, written by Jaya. She was one of our students. I read it not long ago at a SAM meeting, but I just like it. It's very short. Mentions me, forgive that. It's entitled Be What You Want to Be. It goes like this. If stuttering was not a part of my life, I would achieve what I want to be, taking it as a blessing for me, as taught by my coach Lee. I can now see more than I could see. That's the vision seen by my coach Lee. He's the light of the darkest sea. He's known as Coach Lee. Forgive me for saying this, but I give up resisting, overcoming stuttering. I gave up, he said. I gave up resisting, overcoming stuttering. Be what you want to be. So it is said by our Coach Lee. Then from stuttering, we will be free. I didn't realize it had so many references to me. The point is not that. The point is our program, and it works. And when you listen to Tara and Prathusha and Ron and Paul and Bob and Noah and everybody else here, they're not all liars. None of them's getting paid a dime for saying anything here today. They're here because they're trying to help you and to stay on the right path themselves and improve the way they think and know that all life is mental. All life is how you choose to see it. It's not how it is. It's how you choose to see it. And your job is to see it properly and to see it in a good light, in a positive way, and to do what you can to improve it. That's what we're all trying to do here. That's the name of this game. So I want to thank everyone who spoke today. I'm not sure who the host is, but you guys, you made my life just listening to you. Back to the host, whoever.
Thank you so much, Coach Lee. We always get a lot of valuable insights from your speech. So thanks for that. And does anyone have any more questions? Please feel free to raise your hands. I mean, there's an option, but if you can't find the option, it's okay if you can just unmute and talk as well. So it's...
Michael O'Shea, I've been at a lot of those presentations all over the world in the past 40 years. I'm 71 years of age. I started stuttering severely at the age of 4. I got a beating from a nun in school. I didn't speak for 3 months. So when I did speak again, I had a severe stutter and I'd done everything. The highest amount of money I ever paid was to an organization in the USA, $10,000, and they promised me they'd fix my speech. I was 35 years of age, and when I came home, I told my wife, I will live with this for the rest of my day. I can speak in 3 tongues. I can stutter like that right now. I can bring it back, no problem. I learned several techniques all over the world. I was hypnotized for 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and I was on top of the moon. I was 32 years of age. I met a friend. I was walking out of a bank in my own country, a town called Waterford. I was walking out and he was walking in. I went to school with him. We started speaking. We had a conversation for about 5 minutes. The next thing he said, Michael, what has happened to your stutter? It's complete. Within 5 minutes walking up that street, the next person I met, I stuttered. That's a true story. 71 years of age now, and I've worked damn hard on my speech, and I know, like Lee, I would agree with every word he says. But the thing that impressed me most about the whole presentation today is your honesty with the ladder. That is a process. And as you proceed up that ladder, you will accumulate the verbal evidence that you can do it. That's what you're doing. You're accumulating the verbal evidence in the real world that you can do it. Doing it here is not the real world. Out there, when you accumulate the verbal evidence, you are free. You're free of what? You're free of the mindset. You're free of the mentality of stuttering. You'll never go back, as Lee says. And I thought it was very worthwhile. Unfortunately, with the stuttering community at the moment, it's a hard sell to young people. The hard sell is because they want to see it, they want to feel it, and they want to hear it. That's where the hard sell is. But I wouldn't hesitate. I wouldn't hesitate for 1 minute to recommend this. And the COVID changed everything for the stuttering community. It'll never go back again. The East is talking to the West, the North is talking to the South. All the researchers around the world, all the academics are talking to each other. And all the nonsense that I was told as a child. When I came home when I was 14 years of age and I told my mother and father, I don't want to do speech therapy again. They don't know what I was talking about. And there was one professional speech therapist in Ireland when I was 14. One. And they're still teaching the same thing academically. You will live through your stuttering. You will live through it. You'll have a fantastic life, career. It's there for you. But there's only one person that'll do it. It is you versus you every day of your life. Michael O'Shea.
I love your Irish accent and Tara's Irish accent too.
I know Tara.
Wonderful.
I know Tara a long time.
It's great to have you with us, Michael. Great.
It's great seeing. If there's ever anything we can do, which I'm a founder member of an organization in Ireland called Stuttering Awareness of Stuttering. We'll make people aware of what you're doing here. Stuttering well-being, we can help people. You can help anybody with their well-being, anybody. And we help people with their mental health. When people are overwhelmed, it goes to mental health. There's people out there in the stuttering community, 80 million people. How many are drug addicts? How many are alcoholics? How many have ADHD? Everything affects them. And we join them with the professional community to get help.
Right. It's not a competition. It's not a competition. I support every method that works. That's moral and legal. Everyone.
Yeah. And a small bit of advice: if you're going to compete with other organizations, the worst thing you can do is mention them. Do your own thing and do it well.
Right. Exactly.
You don't have to worry about it. You've not to worry about it. If you're doing it and you're doing it well, you've not to worry about it. It's like running a business. If you're doing it and you're doing it well, you've not to worry about it.
Well, Michael, just so you know, I have nothing to do with our website, our app, or any of the program that you find online. I contributed zero to it. My son Dean does all of that, and he has lots of help from Danny and Pratyush and other people. But I just coach people who need help. That's all I do. I've written some books, but that's it. And so
I'll tell you something now, Lee. Leaders lead. Good leaders lead. Bad leaders make excuses.
Okay, well, so it's great. It's great to have you with us today.
Great to be here. Okay, enjoy your day, everybody. Bye for now.
Oh, can I ask you a question, Mike?
Yes,
Michael,
sir.
before you leave, can I speak? Can you
Go
guys
ahead,
hear me?
Dean. Go ahead.
Okay. So Michael, you said that young people need to see it, feel it, and hear it. And the biggest challenge, I've been on the business side of this, the CEO for over 4 years. And the biggest challenge, of course, is that the world has always been told that stuttering is incurable. So really, when I first started trying to market my father's method, it was such a tremendous challenge because people would read, our claim that we stop stuttering and so forth, and they would get very angry. and call us charlatans and quacks and we're, just liars and so forth. We got a lot of hate mail. That's really gone away, I would say. In the last several years, that's gone away because I think we have established such a large body of evidence that if someone will take a minute to listen to what we do or look at our website a little bit, they realize the proof is just overwhelming. But nevertheless, the growth in members is still fairly slow. And for years I've been wondering, when is this thing gonna spike where it just takes off, where stutterers begin to accept what we're doing and embrace it on a larger scale. Um, you know, my father has put a lot of money into this charity. We're still losing money, to be honest with you, though I do believe that this will be very successful financially down the road, which of course it has to be if it's going to be self-sustaining. We can't keep doing this, on family money, basically. So it's got to be profitable, and it most surely will be, but it's still a daily challenge. So when you said young people need to feel it, see it, and hear it, I would love to have you elaborate on that for just a minute.
Yeah. Here's where the action is. The stuttering community changed forever during COVID. How did it change? Because some people from all over the world had time to connect with each other. The stuttering community started connecting with each other. And it got better and better. And you had quizzes. You had organizations were organizing quizzes and everything else to keep the stuttering community connected. And that mushroomed. And now, where do young people, when I do presentations in universities to academics and all this, I ask them the question, educate me. I know nothing about your life. I wasn't reared that way. My mind is not set that way. But you have the bright minds. You're learning. Everything to all of you is new. Teach me. Teach me. And when I ask them the question, what do you want to know? What will interest you? And they will say proof. I need to see it. I need to hear it. And they would even add in feel it and look at it. What I would do is I'd bring them out on the street. Those are professional academics. I'd bring them out on the street. I bring them into a bar. And I say, I want you to go up there now. And I want you to order a cappuccino. I want you to order a pint of Budweiser. I want you to order a Coke with ice. And I want you to stutter. Now, they don't stutter. They don't stutter. And I want you to stutter. If you're not willing to do it, don't be a speech pathologist, because you will not know the feeling that you're feeling now, because they could see it. You could see their whole emotional self on the outside changing. And then it's the students. You need to ask people who come to me almost every day, parents, grandparents, work colleagues, everybody, they want to help and support us. It's there. It's a huge emotional connection within people. It's an emotional connection between all of us, for God's sake. Why are we here? We're here to help and support each other. If you have an agenda, get off the stage. Get off the stage. If you have an agenda.
Have you seen sufficient proof today?
I have seen it because I know how the dots are joined. I know how the dots are joined. You accumulate the verbal evidence to tell your inner child, hey, I'm safe. I'm safe. I can say a word. I can do a presentation. I'm safe. Who's going to die here? If you block, who's going to die? Nobody. Nobody. Release the tension. Release the tension. As Lee says, release the tension. When you're taking in your air, every word that you will say is on an intake of breath, and every word that you are finished, you release that breath. and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And it's a simple thing, but
Yeah.
you're all on the right track. But remember this, the young community, and I would say that the young community are the leaders now, and they're all under 40 years of age. Where do they go first for their information? They go to AI, and that's going to be there for the next 10 years. So get into AI, put
Yeah.
yourself out there, and the people will get interested. Like you have young people here, and it's a fantastic balance. The balance is here. The balance is here of experience, young enthusiastic people with young minds who will absorb the new knowledge, and they will teach us. I get taught every day. My grandchildren teach me every day.
Yeah.
It's as simple as
I've
that.
got 13 of them, Michael, and they teach me too.
Fair play to you. I've
Yeah,
only
he has 9 great-grandchildren.
Shut up, Dean. You're aging me. I don't want Perthusian and Tara to know how old I am.
You're all doing well. Listen,
I have 6
bye-bye.
I have 6 grandchildren myself. Well, that was great talking to Michael.
Great, Dean. Thank you so much. I think Paul has his hand raised, so go on,
Yeah,
Paul.
I just wanted to say 5 weeks ago, I didn't realise there was a community for stammering. So I went on to I found Michael's Zoom. Then I met Tara there, and that's why I'm here today, because of that connection. So I knew Michael for about 5 weeks now or so, and I've been on his Zooms as well. And that's where Tara was a guest on Michael's program. And that's how I found out about StopStutter. So since then, I've been here. I just want to let you know that. Okay.
Great job, Tara, for bringing Paul to the program, and we can see that he's already, progressing. So thanks to you. And next, yeah, we have your hand raised. Tara, go on.
I do have something to say about everything, but I just want to say to Lee and Dean, my mother-in-law, when she passed only a few years ago, she had 49 grandchildren. And at the time, she fell up on you. At the time, she also had about 25 great grandchildren then, so well up on you. Anyway, okay, yes, what Paul did say there was what I did want to mention. So I agree with Michael, of course. I would have loved 25 years ago if someone like you, Lee, or Pratusha, or anyone here would have contacted me. It would have saved me years of hell. But one way of contacting people and helping them, the more talks all of us do on stuttering groups outside of StopStutter, there's always a good chance you will connect with a few young people there. I have. And then when they come and they talk to me on the phone, or we have a Zoom call, they stutter a lot at the start, but then when we relax and we have a chat, and then when I teach them a little bit of pronunciation or modulation, they speak well and they can't believe it. And it draws them in, but it's just to save them all the years of pain. So the more that everyone does here of talking on any communities, any groups outside of StopStutter, I also think that's what will really help to connect us with other people. Yeah, that's all that I'll say.
I just want to add to that what Tara said, which I agree with. The simplest thing is to begin with a sound, ah or soft, loud, high, low, and hold that sound and connect it to the problem word and continue to hold that tone to a stop and keep it short. Those are the simplest methods. Anyone here can stop. I say to Dean, find me the worst stutterer you can find and give me 30 minutes with them in Zoom. And I will have them fluent before the 30 minutes is up. Are they cured? Of course not. You don't override years or decades of a habit in 30 minutes. But what you do is you show yourself that you're capable of doing it. And then you begin to do it and you begin to build the habit, persistency, consistency, and you create a new habit. That's the way it works, but it does work. And half the people here have already, or more, have already proved that it does. So thank you again, everyone, for coming and for all the speakers.
Thank you, Coach Lee. I think we have Dorda Petrovic, if I said your name correct. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah,
and talk.
hi. It's actually George, and I'm from Serbia, and I am 20 years old. So I started pretty much from the age of 7, and especially when I'm with a bigger group or with authorities or strangers. And in the past couple of months, I have been reading my book out loud, and it has really helped me a lot. The question I wanted to ask is, when I'm doing my reading and my mind training treatments, do I need to apply the crutches on those, like stopping every 3 words and stuff like that? Thank you.
Yeah, I can answer that question, George. Yes, absolutely. You have to use your speech tools while you read aloud, because when you do that, you know how to use the tools, right? And it gets easier to apply them outside. Like when you go out and talk to people, it gets easier to apply if you practice reading aloud using the speech tools. All right. And of course, while you're saying the mind training, say it as if you mean it. Put in a lot of feeling and passion into what you're saying. And eventually, your mind will start believing that it's true, provided you're able to use the speech tool outside and avoid all bad incidents. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Is there any other question? If not, I think we can wrap up the meeting. All right. So,
Patricia, I would just add one thing. We define a bad incident as humiliating.
Right.
I don't know what bad means. I do know what when I'm humiliated. And anything short of humiliation is normal speech. We're all imperfect. We're all going to make some mistakes and not always sound so great. That's not stuttering. It's humiliating speech that we're here to stop. We're not here to be perfect. We're here to be the best we can be. And we can become very good speakers, probably better than most of our peers, if we wish to do that. But perfection is never the goal, but avoiding humiliation. We're going to do that, and we're going to do it fast. Thanks again.
To the StopStutter team, fantastic webcast. Thank you so much, and really, really proud of everybody.
Thank you so much, Dean. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
StopStutter team. I thought this webcast was really interactive and engaging, and I would like to thank the audience for also making that possible. So great job, guys. So I'm just going to wrap up this session by saying, if you can say one word anywhere, anytime, then you can say and love to say any word anywhere, anytime.
Amen.
Take care.
Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.